Most US seniors over 60 are still organizing their homes the way they did in their 40s and 50s, planning for more things to come in, instead of fewer things to manage. But here's the truth. At this stage of life, your home should be organized for you, your mobility, your comfort, and your memory. If you're still packing closets to the brim, stacking bins in the garage, or tucking things away for later, you may actually be making your daily life harder without realizing it. The full house feeling that once made you feel secure might now be quietly stealing your time, energy, and independence. Every extra container you open, every high shelf you stretch for, every deep cupboard you bend into, it all adds up. And while it might look tidy on the surface, the real question is, does it make your life easier today? Organizing for the next chapter isn't about letting go of what you love, it's about designing a space that supports the way you live right now. If you want your home to truly work for you in this season of life, hit like and subscribe so you never miss a smarter way to live lighter, safer, and with more freedom. Marvella had always been proud of her home. At 67, this retired postal worker from Pennsylvania believed she had mastered the art of organization. Every holiday decoration had its own plastic bin. Every drawer was divided with tidy little compartments. Her closets looked like something straight from a magazine, rows of labeled boxes stacked from floor to ceiling, each one telling her exactly what was inside. Friends often complimented her on how together everything looked, and she'd smile, feeling confident that she had her home under control. But behind those neat stacks was a truth she rarely admitted, even to herself. Marvella still spent far too much time searching for things she used regularly. A favorite scarf would go missing for an entire season. An important document would be buried somewhere safe that she couldn't quite remember. And every time she needed her heavy Dutch oven, it meant bending low and wrestling it out from the bottom of a perfectly packed cabinet, carefully, so she wouldn't strain her back. The irony? The very systems she thought were helping her were actually making her life harder. Her perfect organization wasn't designed for the way she lived now. It was built for the version of herself from 20 years ago, a woman who didn't mind bending, lifting, or climbing a step stool. Back then, she had the energy to shuffle things around to reach what she needed. Now, the effort left her winded or sore. Marvella began to notice something else too. Her organization relied on memory she couldn't always trust. If she didn't remember which bin a certain item was in, or the last time she used it, it could take an entire afternoon of rummaging to find it. And while everything was technically in order, it wasn't the kind of order that made her daily life easier. That was when she realized something important. Organizing isn't just about where things go, it's about whether you can reach, use, and enjoy them without stress. Her home was tidy, but it wasn't working for her anymore. That's when she decided it was time to rethink everything she thought she knew about organization. And what she discovered next is what most seniors never realize until it's too late. Marvella's first big realization came when she stood in her basement, surrounded by towering stacks of matching plastic bins. Each one was neatly labeled, winter scarves, kitchen gadgets, old photos, but she couldn't remember the last time she'd opened most of them. What she thought was smart storage had quietly turned into what I call container clutter. It's a common trap, especially for seniors. The moment we feel our belongings are out of control, the instinct is to buy more storage solutions, pretty baskets for the living room, fabric cubes for the closet, rolling totes for under the bed. And while these organizers promise order, they often just give us permission to keep more than we actually use. For older adults, container clutter can be more than just an inconvenience, it can become a physical hazard. Stacked bins get heavier as the years go by, and lifting them can strain shoulders or backs that don't recover as quickly as they used to. Reaching for the top one might mean standing on a stool, while the bottom bin forces you to bend and twist. Both movements increase the risk of falls or injuries, which are far more serious after 60. The other hidden problem? Once something goes into a container, it often slips out of sight and out of mind. You might have 3 perfectly good saucepans but keep buying new ones because you forgot the others were packed away in a bin labeled miscellaneous kitchen. That label doesn't really help you use the item, it just helps you store it. And if you're not using what you're storing, you have to ask, why is it still there? Marvella realized she was spending time and money maintaining a system that didn't actually make her life easier. Her basement looked tidy, yes, but the bins weren't solving her problem. They were disguising it. She wasn't organizing her home, she was preserving her clutter in a more presentable way. Be honest, how many plastic bins do you have that you haven't opened in over a year? And more importantly, what would change if they weren't there at all? The better way number 1. Organize for reach, not storage. Marvella's turning point came when she stumbled across an article from a US Physical Therapy Association warning older adults to rethink how they stored their everyday essentials. The advice was simple but powerful: stop organizing for storage space and start organizing for reach. For years, she had arranged her home to fit as much as possible into every cabinet, shelf, and drawer. That meant pushing lesser-used items to the back, stacking heavy things on top of each other, and placing whatever didn't fit into high cabinets or low cupboards. It looked efficient, on paper. But in reality, it was forcing her body into positions that weren't just uncomfortable, but risky. Physical therapists consistently warn against storing frequently used items below knee level or above shoulder height once you pass 60. Why? Because bending down repeatedly puts strain on hips, knees, and the lower back, areas that often already carry the wear and tear of a lifetime. Likewise, reaching overhead for heavy or awkward items can put your shoulders and neck in a vulnerable position, increasing the chance of pulled muscles or even falls if balance shifts unexpectedly. Marvella began by rethinking her kitchen. Instead of keeping her favorite frying pan in the bottom cabinet, where she had to crouch and shift other items to get to it, she moved it to a waist-level drawer. Her coffee mugs, which used to live on the top shelf near the ceiling, came down to a spot just above the counter. She even created a daily use section right at arm's length for things like olive oil, her water glass, and the one pot she used almost every night. The difference was instant. Not only was she cooking with less effort, but she also noticed she wasn't feeling the same end-of-day backache that she used to. Even little habits, like putting away groceries, became smoother, because she no longer had to navigate a complicated game of storage Tetris just to get things in place. This approach works in every room of the house. In the bathroom, Marvella placed her toiletries in a small countertop caddy instead of bending under the sink. In the laundry room, she moved detergent to a rolling cart that sat right beside the washer. And in the closet, she relocated her most worn shoes from the floor to a mid-level rack where she could slip them on without stooping. When you stop thinking about how to store the most items and instead focus on how to reach the ones you actually use, your home instantly becomes safer, friendlier, and less tiring to live in. And here's the best part: this one change isn't just about safety. The next tip I'll share can actually make your home feel twice as big, without buying a single new piece of furniture. The better way number 2, zone by energy, not room. Most of us have been taught the same organizing rules since childhood. Keep all the kitchen items in the kitchen, all the office supplies in the office, all the bedroom things in the bedroom. It feels logical, but for seniors over 60, this room-based approach can work against you, especially on days when your body's energy isn't cooperating. That's why Marvella learned to organize by energy, not by room. Instead of thinking about where an item belongs in the traditional sense, she started grouping things based on how much movement, posture, and energy it takes to use them. On her good days, she still enjoyed moving around her home. But arthritis meant she also had slower days, mornings where climbing stairs felt like lifting weights, or afternoons when her knees simply didn't want to bend again. Those were the days she found herself wishing she didn't have to walk to 3 different rooms just to make a cup of tea, grab a snack, and settle in with her book. So she created what she now calls her low-energy zone. Right beside her favorite chair in the living room, she set up a small but functional station. A decorative basket with a variety of teas and instant coffee packets. A small electric kettle on a side table, with a coaster to protect the wood. A clear jar of healthy snacks like almonds and dried fruit. A small drawer with reading glasses, a notebook, and pens. Her phone charger, tucked neatly so it was always within reach. The result? On flare days, she didn't have to trek back and forth to the kitchen or rummage through different rooms just to get comfortable. Everything she needed for the next few hours was right there, and the setup looked intentional, not cluttered. This method isn't limited to living rooms. Marvella applied it to her bedroom by creating a morning zone where her medications, a bottle of water, and her daily to-do list lived on a tray right by the bed. She even set up a guest comfort zone in her den for when her sister visited, so neither of them had to keep getting up for small things during their long chats. Organizing by energy is especially powerful because it gives you permission to think about your home as it actually functions for you today, not as a museum of where items should be. It eliminates unnecessary walking, reduces physical strain, and makes your home feel more responsive to your needs. Ever had a day where you didn't want to walk across the house for one little thing? This fixes that, and once you try it, you'll wonder why you didn't do it sooner. The better way number 3, memory-friendly organizing. As we get older, organizing our homes isn't just about where things fit, it's about whether we can remember where those things are when we need them. That's where the concept of memory-friendly organizing comes in. It's rooted in something called cognitive ergonomics, designing your environment so that it naturally supports your memory and decision-making. For seniors over 60, this can make the difference between a home that feels easy to live in and one that constantly demands mental energy just to function. When items are hidden away in opaque bins, shoved to the back of deep cupboards, or tucked into just-for-now spots, they often disappear from our mental inventory. You forget you own them, buy duplicates, or waste time searching. And in today's fast-paced world, that wasted time isn't just inconvenient, it's exhausting. Marvella had always prided herself on a tidy pantry. Matching beige baskets lined the shelves, each labeled with neat handwriting. But she noticed a problem. She kept buying the same staples over and over because she couldn't see what she already had. A bag of sugar might sit forgotten behind a box of pasta. A half-full jar of peanut butter could be hiding under something else. The fix was surprisingly simple. She swapped her opaque baskets for clear bins and glass jars with easy-to-read labels. Suddenly, everything in her pantry was visible the moment she opened the door. She didn't have to read every label or move things around. Her eyes could take in the whole picture at a glance. She carried this idea into other areas of her home. In her craft area, colorful yarns were placed in open cubbies instead of sealed tubs. Her medicine cabinet was reorganized with clear, shallow trays so every pill bottle and vitamin was visible. Even her fridge got a makeover. Transparent containers meant she could spot leftovers before they went bad. The benefit wasn't just better memory, it was less decision fatigue. She no longer had to think as hard to find things, which made everyday tasks faster and more enjoyable. And because she could see what she had, she stopped overspending on duplicates, freeing up both money and storage space. The key takeaway here is that your home should be your memory partner, not your memory test. If you find yourself forgetting what you own until you stumble across it by accident, it's time to make visibility a priority. Memory-friendly organizing isn't about cluttering your home with open shelving everywhere. It's about making sure the things you use most often are always within sight, so they stay top of mind. And for Marvella, this single shift saved her time, money, and frustration, while making her home feel instantly more functional. The better way number 4, the seasonal rotation with a US twist. One of the biggest hidden space wasters in a senior's home is keeping every item for every season out all year long. It's easy to overlook because those coats on the rack, heavy blankets on the couch, and summer sandals by the door become part of the scenery. But if you live in the United States, especially in a state with dramatic seasonal shifts, you're making your home work harder than it should. From Minnesota's long, icy winters to Florida's humid, blazing summers, seasonal living is a reality in many parts of the country. Yet most seniors never adapt their organization to match the rhythm of the climate. That means half your closet, half your linen storage, and half your garage space is filled with items you won't touch for another 6 months. And every time you go to grab something you do need, you have to dig past the stuff you don't. Marvella's breakthrough came when she realized she could treat her home the same way she once treated her wardrobe when she worked for the Postal Service, seasonally. Twice a year, she now performs a seasonal rotation, swapping out everything she won't use until the weather changes. Winter coats, boots, and scarves get cleaned, packed in easy-access rolling bins, and stored in a climate-controlled area. The same goes for her summer items: light dresses, sandals, sun hats, once fall arrives. The US twist here is avoiding the common mistake of stashing off-season items in hot attics or damp basements. In parts of the country with extreme temperatures or humidity, storing fabrics and delicate materials in these environments can cause irreversible damage, mold, mildew, and even fabric rot. Instead, Marvella uses a section of her guest room closet for rotation storage. Rolling bins slide in and out easily, so she doesn't have to lift heavy containers over her head or bend deeply to the floor. She also applies seasonal rotation beyond clothing. Her living room gets a refresh, plush winter throws are swapped for lighter cotton ones in spring, and holiday decor is rotated out promptly instead of lingering well into the next season. Even her pantry shifts, with seasonal baking ingredients stored away after the holidays to make room for fresh produce baskets in the summer. The result? Her home feels fresher, lighter, and more in tune with her actual lifestyle. She's no longer overwhelmed by choices she doesn't need to make, and every drawer and closet feels relevant to the current season. This isn't about perfection, it's about giving your home breathing room so you can move, think, and live without tripping over what you won't use for months. And the best part? Every time you bring those items back out, it feels a little like opening a gift to yourself, only this time, you know exactly where it is and why it matters. The better way number 5. Organize by morning flow. Most people think of organization in terms of where things fit in a room, but what if you organized your home around the order in which you live your day? That's the heart of organizing by morning flow, and for seniors over 60, it can be a game changer. The first 90 minutes after you wake up often determine how the rest of your day feels. If those minutes are filled with unnecessary trips back and forth across the house, bending into cupboards, or searching for misplaced items, your energy and mood can dip before the day even begins. For older adults, that early morning energy is precious. It's the time when your body is rested, your mind is clearer, and your motivation is naturally higher. Wasting it on hunting for glasses or walking to 3 different rooms just to get breakfast going is like pouring that energy down the drain. Marvella had never considered her morning routine from an organizational perspective. She thought mornings were simply about getting going. But when she paid attention, she realized she was doing a small but exhausting dance, walking from the bedroom to the kitchen for her medication, back to the bedroom for her reading glasses, over to the den for her notepad, and then back to the kitchen for tea. By the time she settled into her chair, she felt like she'd already put in a half-hour workout. Her solution was to create a morning hub, a single, well-organized space that contained everything she needed to start her day without friction. She placed it near her favorite living room chair, where she usually spent the first part of her morning. Inside a small cabinet and on a tray on top, she kept her daily medications and supplements in a labeled organizer, reading glasses and a magnifier for fine print, a phone charger so her battery was always topped up, a small electric kettle with tea bags, instant coffee, and sugar packets, a notepad and pen for jotting down ideas, reminders, or grocery lists while they were fresh in her mind. By consolidating these essentials into one spot, she eliminated the back and forth entirely. Mornings became calmer, more intentional, and, most importantly, less physically taxing. The beauty of morning flow organizing is that it's entirely customizable. If you like to start your day with a bit of stretching, keep a resistance band or yoga strap in your hub. If you enjoy watching the news while sipping coffee, keep the remote in the same place. If your mornings start with a devotional or journaling session, keep your Bible or notebook right there, ready to open. For seniors, this method also cuts down on the mental load of remembering where things are. When you know your mornings flow from one task to the next without interruption, you start the day feeling capable, not rushed. If your mornings feel scattered, this one change can set the tone for your entire day, and make it easier to protect your best energy for the things you truly enjoy. When Marvella first started rethinking her home, she thought the changes would be small, just a few adjustments to make things a little easier. But what happened over the following months surprised her. The difference wasn't just in how her home looked, but in how it felt. Before, every closet, cupboard, and drawer had been packed with items she thought she needed to keep. Her rooms looked neat, but they were heavy with decisions, heavy with hidden work. She had to bend, lift, and reach for things she used every day. Even the act of finding something simple could turn into a chore. It was a home that demanded constant effort to maintain, and she didn't realize how much that was weighing on her until it changed. Now, her home feels spacious, not in the sense of having more square footage, but in the sense of breathing room. She no longer organizes for the sake of fitting everything in. She organizes so that the things she truly uses are always easy to reach. Her kitchen counters aren't covered in gadgets, yet she can find what she needs in seconds. Her closets aren't overstuffed, yet every season is accounted for. And perhaps most importantly, she has removed the hidden physical risks. No more stacking bins overhead, no more bending into deep cupboards for daily items, no more step stools in the middle of the night. The real transformation wasn't about creating a perfectly organized home. It was about creating a home that works with her, not against her. A space where she can move without strain, find things without frustration, and start each day without wasting her best energy. Marvella says it best: your home should help you live, not hold you hostage in your own storage system. And that's the truth for every senior over 60. The way you organize your home now will determine how much freedom and independence you can enjoy in the years ahead. If even one of these ideas made you rethink your organizing, hit like, share this with a friend over 60, and subscribe, because your next chapter should be lighter, easier, and entirely yours.